Alright, in this video we are going to see how to create this gravity fall game using HTML, CSS and JavaScript. As you see, we have to make this ball fall over the hole, and if the ball touches zero, you will get the score and your game is over. Fine. To start along, I'll leave the source code in the description so that you can start along with me. In case if you're stuck, you can copy paste anytime. And as you see, these are the steps which we are going to create on the process. This looks heavy, but compared to other work, this is really very simple work. The game is very simple to create. Fine. Now I'm choosing the same folder which I have already files which I have already created it. We don't need this break, I was testing with it. Fine. Now let's start creating three documents. The first one is HTML. We'll save this as demo.html, and the next thing we need is style demo.css, and the third thing is demo.js. Now let's include all the files. The first one is demo.css, and then we have script demo.js. Cool. Now we just need two sections in the HTML. The first one is let's have a game div, and then we need character. That's it. And we directly have to get into the CSS. Just for our understanding, let's remove all the margin and padding given by Chrome. Padding 0, margin 0, and then let's have the box sizing as border box. We are just saying that consider the width till the border, don't consider the outline and margin. That's what we are saying. You can have a quick Google search to know more about this. Now we need to have body. We already have a body as a HTML tag. We have to give width 100, vertical width, height 100, vertical height, viewport height, and then we can give the background color as somewhat blackish. Cool. Now let's see how does this looks. As you know, we have given the name as demo.html, so this is how it looks. Now directly get into the game div. So we need to give the width of 400 pixel, let the height be 500 pixel. You have to note the width and height because everything is all about calculation when it comes to game. Now let's have the background color of white. I want to place this at the center, horizontal center, so you can give margin auto, top and bottom 0, left and right auto. Now we can see it, the game is horizontally centered. And I'm not going to have this text, it's just to say that we are at the 56 project. Cool. Now in case if you want, you can add the border and make the game more attractive. We are more focused on vanilla JavaScript, so I'm just having the design very minimum. And then we have character. Let's copy paste the text, doing three things at a time. I'm not used to it. Great. Now we need to fix the width. Let's make the width as 20 pixel. Let's have the height of 20 pixel. We have to make the color as red. Let's make this as circle, so border radius 50%. We'll make this as a pure circle. To make the border radius work, you have to give the width and height as same. Now let's place this, give position relative, and from the top I want it to be 440 pixel since the height is 500. Then the left, I want it to be at the center. As we know, the width is 400, half is 200. I'm giving 200. Cool. Now for now we can get into the JavaScript. Let's call the two divs which we have created in HTML document dot. Since we have given ID, we can directly call document get element by ID, and it's game, and then we have character, we can use the declaration. Cool. Now when I press, I want to know which keyboard key I have pressed. So for that, document dot add event listener key down. That means it will show you which key you have pressed. So to get it, we have to pass e in the form of event in the form of e. So we can get console dot log e dot key will give you the key which you have pressed. Refresh it and inspect. Let's get to the console, click on some keyword. You can see let me refresh it again. I'm pressing the up, right, bottom, left arrows. Now these are the values. Now as you got the values, we have to just use the condition if e dot key is equal to arrow left and another condition for right arrow key. You can simply copy paste it. It's not camel case. Cool. Once this is happening, we have to call a function moveLeft and moveRight. We have to define this. Let's define the moveLeft function, moveLeft. So let's have an alert to check you clicked left arrow. Refresh it, click the left arrow. You see, you click the left arrow. Now this function is running. Now what we need to do is we have to get the position of this character. So when it comes to animation, you need to always use this function window dot getComputedStyle, and here we want the position of character. Since we have to pass the JavaScript variable inside, you can see this character is coming from this line, and as you know, this line is simply the HTML character div. Now we want the property get property value, which is top. So we can name this variable as character top, and let's define this. Once this would be, we have to convert this into integer. So we have a function in JavaScript parseInt. Now get the character, find the top and append character top to it, and we have to give pixel. As you know, this is how we would give values to the top. Let me go. moveRight is not defined. So the same way, okay, we have to do one more thing. We have to add a 2 pixel. Sorry, we need to move to the left, so it would be subtraction of 2 pixel. Okay, it is going at the top. We have to give left. Refresh it, click on left. Okay, not to worry, we have one more trick to perform. So set interval, I want it to run on every millisecond, and the function you have to pass. Now let's try clicking it. let's define the moveRight as well. Copy paste the same thing. It's moveRight again. We have to add, as you see I have made the mistake, it need to be left, and character X position, we can give any name, character X position. So the reason for moving to the top is because okay, you have given, let me remove this and show you. Let's click left. It's running every millisecond. Your variable is wrong, it says. Yes, you have to pass this over here. Click left. You see it is going in the right direction. Cool. Let's have this one more time and change the function name to moveRight. Let's call this inside the right condition, right arrow condition, sorry, ArrowRight on button press. Cool. Now since we have to add this, since we need to go on the right side, let's click on right. moveRight is not defined, we haven't copy pasted the function name. So let's have a condition as well. Now this is 0 and this is 400, so do not work if character position is less than 0. The other end, it should not be greater than 400. As I said, the width of the container is 400. Refresh it, click once, click refresh it, click the left, arrow not working, let's check why. Okay, the condition is wrong. If it is greater than 0, then subtract -2. If it is less than 400, then add +2. Cool. Right button, left button, right button. As you know, as you see, we have to make this 380. 400 minus 20, 380. Now if I click left and right button at the same time, it will give an error. Let me click and show you. If I click left and then right, you can see it is both the set interval is running at the same time. That's the reason it is making this kind of work. So let's define the keyword called both and let's make this 0. So if both is 0, then make this work. At the same time, increment the both to ++. So we have to stop this interval as well. Character move, and once I release the key, I want the animation to stop, the set interval to stop. So key up function, key up event will do that work. Clear interval, and on key up I want the both value to be 0. Now this would work. Character move is not defined. Let's define it on the top. Let cool. Now you can see if I leave, it is going to, the animation will stop. Cool. Now let's get into the next work. I think we have completed the first one. Alright, now let's start creating the blocks and hole by using JavaScript. Now let's create two div. So with the help of document.createElement, let's name this div as block, and one more div as whole. And this block need to have id and class. So block dot set attribute function attribute attribute. We are passing class value as, let's name this as block itself, and let's pass the id also block, as technically we need to make id unique. I'll pass counter variable in a second. Let's do the same for whole as well. Now let's append this block to the game dot append child. The same way append the whole to the game. We can see it on the console, but you won't see it on the JavaScript. You can see class whole id. Let's make this, let's design this so that we can visually see on the browser. So the class is block, and then we have whole. The height is going to be 20 pixel. The width is going to be 400 pixel, that means the width of the container. And background color, let's make this black. Now you can see. Let's do the same thing for the whole. We have to make this white background. Let's refresh. White background you won't able to see. Let's make this green. We don't want the whole to be this big. Let's make this width to be 40. Now we want this whole to be on top of block, so margin top minus 20 pixel. Let's give this minus 20 pixel to this as well, block as well. Cool. Now block contains the whole. It doesn't actually contain the whole, but if we see from the browser, it does look like this. Now what we need to do is we have to make the whole random position. We have to make the whole position random. That means it can be any position on over the block. So for that, so let's have random, let's have a random variable, a variable name called random position. Math dot random function will generate random values, and I want it till 360. I got a call. Cool. Now I want the random value from 0 to 360. 360 is because we have the container width 400. Container width minus the width of the whole is 360. That's the reason. Now we would be getting the decimal value, so I want the without decimal value, so math.floor will do the work. Now we got the random position. Let's get the whole style dot left equal to a random position plus pixel. Let's refresh this. We are not getting it. Whole dot style dot left. Let's pick the whole 235. Refresh it. 226, 218. Okay, to make this work you have to give position relative. Now you can see we are able to, on each refresh the position is getting changed. Well, that works as we thought. Let me give the position relative to this as well, and let's make this top of 100 pixel. Same to this. Let me refresh it. Refresh. Now I don't want to refresh each time. Let's make this inside set interval function. Set interval that will run every 1 millisecond. Technically it should run every 1 millisecond, just for freeing the browser memory. Let's make this 100 millisecond. If I refresh every 100 millisecond, you can see there is a random generated div. You can see there are many div which will be generated every 100 millisecond. We don't want this. Cool. I think the first part is done. Third part is done. We just missed one value. We need to get the counter. We need to create a counter variable. Let counter equal to 0. Let's call this counter and append this as in the form of ID. Refresh it. You can see counter is not getting incremented. To increment it, make this plus plus. Well, that's working on each ID. So let's get into the fourth step. We want the block to move. So for that we have to know the previously appended block. Now 1 2 3 4 5 6. So we got this number with the help of counter. So to know the previous value, we just have to get the block. So document dot get element by ID. We know the ID starts with the value block, and then we have counter to it. So to get the previous value, just add -1. So we'll name this previous block. The same whole, previous whole. Now since we got the previous element, we need to get the top position of the block and the whole. So let's get the top position. We know we have already used getComputedStyles. We are used to it. Blocks top position and the whole's top position. Top. Store this into a variable called previous block top. The same way we have to use let, or else we'll get unexpected error. Cool. Now previous whole top. We haven't used those two values, that's the reason why it's showing in different color. So we want this to run only when the counter value is greater than 0. And now get the block dot style dot top equal to previous position plus 100 pixel. So to make this run, we have to make the same for the whole position as well. Whole top position, previous whole top. Cool. Let's see what we are getting. Getting an error, previous block top is not defined. Let's try setting this value to 0. For both the value it says it's not defined. Let's just define with 0 and check. Yeah, now we got it. I just removed the declaration from here and started with 0. Now you can see it is able to it is adding 100 pixel top than the previous one. Now I want this to run only if the position is, let's create a condition first. We have to check if the top position of the block is less than 400, then run. If it is greater than 400, then don't run. That means it will be 500. It will be out of this our game container. Cool. And let's add a counter, and the condition for counter should be 0. So this part is also done. Let's focus on pushing our blocks, pushing our block to the top on 0.5 second, every 0.5 second. Alright, now let's make the whole move. So before that, let's just design the whole as white and get the character and add the Z index as some value higher. Cool. Now let's create an array. We can name this array as counter array, and I want to push the counter value inside this array. And we have to get individual block. So to access the individual block, we can use this counter array and run for loop. Variable I equal to 0. I is going to start from counter length, then increment the value of I, and let's access the value counter array individually and store it into a value called current. As you know, we would be getting individual blocks. So to get the individual blocks, document dot get element by id. We have given the id as block, then pass the current. So this is current block. Let's get the current whole as well. Whole, current whole, engineer. Cool. Now we need to get the position of the block. Current block top position, and store it as current block top. Now we need to give this current block position, since the set interval is running, dot style dot top equal to current top position minus 0.5 plus pixel. We can use parse float. Now let's see, it should go. Yeah, it's going, but let's make this as 1 millisecond. The hole is not running. Let's make the hole position also the same way, current hole, and cool. Now finally we made this. Now it's just a drop function we have to use. Sorry, not a drop function, a drop logic. If the ball touches the hole, then we need to create a variable called drop. If the ball touches the hole, then the drop is going to be 0. If the ball does not touch the hole, then we need to increment the drop. Let me show you the logic. So before the logic, we have to optimize this. If I see, we have lot of blocks. We need to remove the block once it goes away from the section. For that, what we need to do is we have to simply remove. If the current block reaches the top, then remove the counter array, remove the block, remove the div, sorry, whole div and block div, and cool. Now if you see, 2, 3, it will be 4. That means 4 is at the top, 5 is at the top. So once it reaches above the game div, it is getting removed. Fine, that's working. Again, inside the for loop, we are having a logic. If it touches, if the hole, so before that we need to get the character top and character left. Just above the for loop, let's define the character top position, character left position, and let's define the drop. Once these are defined, we are just checking if the current block and the character top are at the same position. If both touches, then we have to make the drop plus, and if the character and the hole are in the same line, same position, then we have to make the drop 0. Then if the drop is 0, then we have to make the character move to the top. If the drop is not 0, if it is incrementing, then it should go with the flow of the block. Let's see, there's an error. We have not defined the left position of the hole, so let's define the left position of the hole. Cool, now we got it. Now it's just once it touches the roof, we have to give the game over. We need to make the game over, and we have to stop the interval. So the interval is over here. Let's have this. Cool, now let's see. Let's wait till the ball touches the roof and game over. 1, score 2, block 3, block 4, block 5, block 6. So the game score should be 6. Fine, that's all for this video. Thank you so much for listening.